Welcome back to the channel for another college football 25 video. Today is July 29th, which means we are only 18 days away from the early release of the game. And this past week, EA had a few releases for rankings weeks, and we're going to cover everything they mentioned and fix some of the rankings we think they missed. Before we get into the video, I just want to tell you about two giveaways we have going on right now on the channel, and those on our last two college football videos. We are giving away a free game as we hit both the like and subscriber goal for those. So go on over to the videos listed in the play card in the top right hand corner to enter the giveaway. All you need to do is drop a sub and hit the comment button and drop a comment on the video to enter the drawing. With that being said, there will not be a giveaway today, but if we get to the video to 50 likes and get the channel to 130 subscribers, we will give another giveaway in our next video we'll be releasing next week. So go ahead and join us as we are on the road to 200 subscribers before the game drops. Thanks guys, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the video. To jump right in, EA started us off this week on a hot note with the top 25 hardest places to play in this year's game. And let me tell you, there are some shocking reveals on this list. Sorry to all the Texas A&M fans, but having a 24-20 record at home in the SEC in the last few years is not going to do you any favors in the ranking of the hardest places to play. So we took our shot at re-ranking these off the same criteria that EA mentioned they used to rank their list. That would be home field record, attendance, and prestige. The last one is pretty subjective, so we relied mostly on the first two, but with that being said, here's our list. As you can see on the screen in front of you, we have a slightly different list as to what EA released on Tuesday. Georgia takes our top spot as they moved up 4 spots, and some of the larger movers for us were Texas A&M, who fell from 1st to 12th, Wisconsin, who fell from 7th to 18th, Oregon also fell 8 spots from 11th to 19th, and then Florida State, who fell from 19th all the way down to 21st. They still stayed in the top 25, but they barely did. A lot of this has to do with the time frame we looked at for the home records. It was around 5 years, so FSU specifically went 13-0 last season, but going back 5 years, the record wasn't that good for us to rank them that high. Our biggest gainers though were Michigan and Texas, both jumping 14 spots to 2nd and 5th respectively. Other than those 6 really bad misses I feel like they made, the top 10 generally stayed the same, albeit there was some movement amongst them. Like you had Alabama fall 4 spots, Ohio State and Penn State fought a few, Clemson and Tennessee both gained. So, discuss that in the comments if you disagree with that, but looking at all the actual physical metrics, that's how they panned out. Next up, we had the release of the Sights and Sound Deep Dive. This was a deeper look into how the EA team went about designing the visuals for the game, and let me tell you, this was spectacular. Of course, this footage has made it look like it's best it possibly can, but even the graphics aren't 4K at 120 FPS. All the time and the attention to detail is really something I can appreciate. I mean, just look at this side-by-side photo of the Colorado Stadium. We got this from Trasher Football on Twitter, so shout out to them. But man, this looks near identical to what we would see in real life. Rankings can be subjective, and everyone will disagree on something, but looking into just the visuals, it would be hard to find something to complain about at this point. Before we continue, I wanted to point out some more details from the Sights and Sounds Deep Dive. The first is there will be a total of 50 mascots, with 10 of those being animals such as the Georgia Bulldog. Another big feature is the turnover celebrations making their debut in the game, such as Pittsburgh's basketball hoop and dunk celebration. Another big aspect is that we will see hear are 180 school band songs, along with other songs such as Mo Bamba at Penn State. Along with the songs, there are over 220 chants around the game. The people singing the songs and screaming the chants will be dynamic crowds that will wear different patterns such as stripings or whiteouts, and they will also be dynamic. So the better you do, the more fans go to the games, and vice versa. They will even have specific areas for student sections to add even more flair to each game. But that is still not all, as we have iconic hand symbols such as the U from Miami and the Hook'em from Texas. The last feature we will cover is a new game calling feature that will have over 400 variation of panels that cover things like stats, impact players, rankings, wear and tear, and even kicker range. Moving on to day 3, we have the offense and defense ratings. And there was some really interesting, maybe even blasphemous ratings they put out. This is beating a dead horse, but how much did Colorado pay PFF for EA to get this high of a rating on both sides of the ball, man. It's absolutely insane. I will say EA mentioned they outsourced the power rankings to Pro Football Focus, so you can't blame it all on EA, but I feel like someone should have stepped in and said, nah, we can't do this. We can't let them get that high. But regardless, here we are, so let's talk about it. Starting off with the offensive side of the ball, I really only see a few things to note. Some may point to Colorado as a surprise, but you could reasonably make a case that they could have a top 10 offense. I mean, Shadur is an NFL level QB, and the receiving core is pretty solid. The line was abysmal last year, but they seem to bring in some good transfers to fix that. But again, this is going to have to wait to be seen, and they will change the ratings if it happens to be, really, really bad, but it's still kind of surprising they got so high. My biggest surprise, though, is having FSU so low when they were a top 20 offense last year, and they brought in DJ Ukulele at quarterback, who has been a solid quarterback the last 2 seasons, even though he's transferred around a few times. I think this team was severely overlooked on the list, and another one that pops in my head just right off the top is NC State at 16. Looking it up, they had a top 75 offense last year. A top 75. Not that I was like super invested in the team, like the Wolfpack recruiting or player development, but having not heard a single drastic improvement on that, I just don't understand how they got warranted a top 20 ranking. Moving to the other side of the ball, we have the defenses, and this is where I start to not see the vision. Having Colorado at 20 is insane to hear. Travis Hunter is like the only name of note on that side of the ball for them, and there's 11 guys on the field. This is where I think someone somewhere was paid off. Obviously, I'm joking, but it still is baffling to me. And another mistake that is obvious is having USC anywhere near the top 25, let alone at 16th. They had the 121st worst defense a year ago. 121st. Not to say that coaches can't make large improvements year over year, but this is Lincoln Riley we are talking about. This man hasn't thought about defense once in his life. Like, he's one of the best quarterback coaches, but man, his defensive coaching or even involvement is non-existent. Outside of those egregious mistakes, I have only minor comments on the rest of it. Not having Iowa in the top 10 was a little bit of a surprise to me, but honestly, with how lackluster the Big Ten can be on offense, I kind of get it. I'm not sure what Oregon has done this offseason, but I just do not see a former Pac-12 team having a top 3 defense, especially after a season where any decent opponent that they played put up 30 on them. Even Texas Tech put up 30. I mean, top 10 defense maybe, but not a top 3. Coming to our last rating release of the week, we have the top rated teams that released on Friday. I think the top 10 have a really reasonable ranking. Utah may be getting a little bit of love, but honestly, as the favorite of the Big 12, it makes more sense to me than it doesn't. FSU coming in at 12 seems a little low, coming off a 13-0 season and adding a possible first-round quarterback in the next year's draft. I'm interested to see if they will play above this and possibly move up down the line. I would also have them favored to win the ACC over Clemson, so I'm surprised that Clemson got rated above them. Colorado seems high while being the 11th best favorite to win the Big 12, but after how highly they rank the offense and defense, I'm surprised they didn't end up higher on this list, to be honest. Another thing to note, I do not see a G5 team here, which is a little bit surprising to me, especially since one of them is going to make the college football playoff no matter what. It doesn't matter if the best group of 5 team is 10-2, 9-3, whatever it is, they're still making the college football playoffs. So that was a little interesting for me to see. All in all, I think this is the best ratings they released all week. One more thing I wanted to cover was the card art that they low-key did a release for last week. It was kind of quiet. They didn't release it on their main page, so I was kind of interested that they did that. But they released 5 cards for the Heisman edition, and you can choose one of the 5 if you get the pack. It's very similar to the Ultimate Team in Madden. Those players are Carson Beck, Caleb Downs, Zachariah Branch, Will Johnson, and Ashton Gilotti, however you pronounce his name. Sorry if I pronounced it incorrectly. Let me know in the comments. But the ratings are not what they will be in the game, so I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. They're going to have separate ratings for Ultimate Team and for the real game. Again, very similar to the Madden Ultimate Team. I think the card art is cool enough, but I am a little curious as to why these cards wouldn't use real-life photos like most games do on their card multiplayer online modes, and they settle for face scans instead. Maybe it has something to do with NIL and the ability to use their face scans or real likeness in like real life likeness, but we'll have to wait and see. I think this week has definitely showed us that EA will definitely play favorites from time to time, but when things really matter like visual appeal and from what we have been able to see gameplay wise, they will really be there for us. This week has just made my desire to play this game grow immensely. They have also mentioned that the Dynasty Deep Dive will be the next deep dive that they cover, so let's hope that it's coming early next week, but we'll have to wait and stay tuned. With all that being said, I really appreciate you guys being here and tuning in for this one. Let me know in the comments what you all think of the ratings and what the EA team has missed on. Also, don't forget to drop a like and subscription as it helps the channel out to get picked up by the algorithm, and it would just really make me super appreciative, even more so than I am now. Again, I appreciate you all, and I will catch you in the next one.